Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We are continuing with Adi Lila, Caitanya Charitamrta, Adi Lila, chapter number 4, verse number 21-22. Mora putra, mora sakha, mora pranapati, ei bhave ei more kare shuddha bhakti, apana ke bada mane amare samahina, sei bhave yami tahara adhina. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If one cherishes pure, loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, his friend, or his beloved, regarding himself as great and considering me his equal or inferior, I become subordinate to him. Purport. In the Caitanya Charitamrta, 3 kinds of devotional service are described, namely bhakti or ordinary devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti or pure devotional service, and Vidha Bhakti or mixed devotional service. When devotional service is executed with some material purpose involving fruitive activities, mental speculations, or mystic yoga, it is called mixed or adulterated devotional service. Excuse me. Besides Bhakti Yoga, the Bhagavad Gita also describes Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Yoga means linking with the Supreme Lord, which is possible only through devotion. Fruitive activities ending in devotional service, philosophical speculation ending in devotional service, and the practice of mysticism ending in devotional service are known respectively as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. But such devotional service is adulterated by the 3 kinds of material activities. For those grossly engaged in identifying the body as the self, pious activity or karma yoga is recommended. For those who identify the mind with the self, philosophical speculation or jnana yoga is recommended. But devotees standing on the spiritual platform have no need of such material conceptions of adulterated devotion. Adulterated devotional service does not directly aim for love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, service performed strictly in conformity with the revealed scriptures is better than such Vidha Bhakti because it is free from all kinds of material contamination. It is executed in Krishna consciousness solely to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are spontaneously devoted to the Lord and have no aims for material gain are called attracted devotees. They are spontaneously attracted to the service of the Lord and they follow in the footsteps of self-realized souls. Their pure devotion or Shuddha Bhakti manifested from pure love of Godhead surpasses the regulative principles of the authoritative scriptures. Sometimes loving ecstasy transcends regulative principles. Such ecstasy, however, is completely on the spiritual platform and cannot be imitated. The regulative principles help ordinary devotees rise to the stage of perfect love of Godhead. Pure love for Krishna is the perfection of pure devotion, and pure devotional service is identical with spontaneous devotional service. Flawless execution of regulative principles is exhibited in the Vaikuntha planets. By strictly executing these principles, one can be elevated to the Vaikuntha planets. But spontaneous, pure loving service is found only in Krishna Loka alone. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. A very interesting and very informative purport, which Srila Prabhupada explains so very nicely. So here we see this talk about pure, loving, devotional service. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has also explained to us even in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, there are different rasas that we have learned about, worshipping or loving Krishna as, he is our son or a friend or, our master, being, neutral or as a lover. So here, Krishna is explaining that this level of pure devotional service in which the devotee considers Krishna to be equal or inferior. See how important. Even if one thinks that, okay, in this pure loving devotional service that Krishna is my inferior, then Krishna says, I become their subordinate. This is prema bhakti. And this prema bhakti level we can see in the gopis. And in the purport, excuse me, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains there are three kinds of devotional service. There is bhakti, which is ordinary devotional service. Then there is Shuddha bhakti, which is pure devotional service. And then there is Vidha bhakti, which is mixed devotional service, which means it's alloyed. It is mixed, which means devotional service for maybe material purpose, fruitive activities, mental speculation, and Prabhupada says even mystic yoga. So he talks about different forms of yoga, how they are connected with linking with the Supreme. Yoga means connection, right? Linking. So here he says, Srila Prabhupada explains that if the fruitive activities end in devotional service, that's considered karma yoga. If philosophical speculation ends in devotional service, jnana yoga. And if practice of mysticism ends in devotional service, that is dhyana yoga. But all these three are adulterated because there is some motive behind it. Either it's fruitive activities, philosophical speculation, or mystic yoga, whatever. But bhakti is only process that helps us to link with the Supreme Lord directly. Now, there are different recommendations given by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Excuse me. He says that those who are grossly engaged in pious activities or are on the bodily concept of life, recommendation is karma yoga. And those who want to identify the mind with the self or do a lot of philosophical speculation, for them jnana yoga is recommended. But all these are adulterated because again there is a motive behind it. But what do the devotees do? They aim directly at love for Krishna, directly focus. It is complete, like bhakti yoga, Srila Prabhupada says, only focuses on worshipping and loving Krishna. And because devotees follow that, they follow the Shastras. And what is the purpose of the scriptures? Vedas cha sarve aham eva vedayo vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. Krishna says, I am the compiler of the Vedas and I am to be known from the Vedas. So the devotees know that their purpose is to know Krishna, to please Krishna. And that can be done with the medium of the bona fide spiritual master. Now, Srila Prabhupada also talks about Vidha Bhakti, which he says is not free from material contamination. Obviously, because it's adulterated. There is, fruitive activities are performed so that one is desiring to enjoy the results, the fruits of those activities, or it is a speculation. In my opinion, according to me, I think so. So all that speculation. But Rupa Goswami, what did he teach us? He teaches us how we can progress towards spontaneous love for Krishna, like the gopis. Anya bhilashita shunyam jnana karma amavrita. He's saying it has to be completely pure. There should be no mixture of karma, jnana, or anything. And this is possible, this pure devotional service is possible only when when the devotee is in good association. And when they have good association, then there's no desire for material gain, because only focus is Krishna consciousness. When they are in the association of devotees, then they are forced to remain Krishna conscious. Just like I give example, if I am driving and a cop is sitting next to me in the passenger seat, I am forced to follow the traffic rules. I should follow them anyway. But when the cop is there, then we are forced. So similarly, when we are in devotee association, then we are forced to remain Krishna conscious. And the devotees, what is their aim? Aim is to love Krishna, and their desire is to succeed in pure Krishna consciousness. We should not stay on a plateau. Yes, in the beginning there was a big rise, and then we should not become comfortable that, okay, I am chanting my rounds, I'm offering my food, I'm following 4 regulative principles, I'm reading the scriptures, and then just stay there. No, there has to be a progress, a constant progress should be there. And that is possible when we follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna. We follow the footsteps of great acharyas. Because what did the great acharyas do? They associated. Association was there. So if we associate, then of course with advanced devotees, then we will also start progressing. And once the devotee reaches that platform of Shuddha Bhakti, like Prabhupada says, then they transcend regulative principles. Not deliberately, but it doesn't matter if they don't follow regulative principles, because they've already reached that Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional platform. They are in ecstasy, which means they are on complete spiritual platform. But Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that their ecstasy is not an imitation. They are not pretending. Remember in Bhagavad Gita, we have learned about pretenders. Krishna tells Arjuna, don't be a pretender. So these regulative principles are there for us, so that these regulative principles can, discipline us on the spiritual path, and it can help us to advance spiritually. So in the beginning, the regulative principles are necessary, but when a devotee reaches that platform of full Krishna consciousness, which means pure loving devotional service, which means spontaneous love for Krishna, that is when it is okay if they transcend the regulative principles. Towards the end of the purport that we read today, just now, Srila Prabhupada says that flawless execution of regulative principles is exhibited in Vaikuntha. If that is our destination, Vaikuntha. But spontaneous, pure, loving devotional service is in Krishna Loka. So we see Srila Prabhupada in his purports makes it so very simple, yet so profound. We learn so much. It's almost impossible to understand these verses without these purports. Let's see verse number 23. Mai bhaktir hi bhutanam amrita vaya kalpate dishtya yad asin mat sneho bhavati namad apanaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devotional service rendered to me by the living beings revives their eternal life. O my dear damsels of Raja, your affection for me is your good fortune, for it is the only means by which you have obtained my favor. Purport. Pure devotional service is represented in the activities of the residents of Rajabhumi or Vrindavan. During a solar eclipse, the Lord came from Dwarka and met the inhabitants of Vrindavan at Samanta Panchaka. The meeting was intensely painful for the damsels of Rajabhumi because Lord Krishna had apparently left them to reside at Dwarka. But the Lord obligingly acknowledged the pure devotional service of the damsels of Raja by speaking this verse, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 82, verse 44. Such a nice verse. So here it's very clearly explained that devotional service revives our eternal life. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is dormant within all of us. It just needs to be revived. And that's why he gave us this process by which we can revive our eternal constitutional position, by which we can understand who we really are. And here it's mentioned that the gopis, they obtain Krishna's favor by pure devotional service. Many times we've heard that the gopis' pure love is the highest of all. And here we see Krishna is acknowledging it. He's acknowledging their pure devotional service. You know, in this material world, when people do something, they're looking for acknowledgement. Even see in the office, a workplace, do something, extraordinary, and then waiting for the boss to appreciate, or making an announcement in front of the colleagues, look at so and so has done this, this, and this, and that acknowledgement. That, of course, on the spiritual path, this acknowledgement is the source of inspiration. It helps us to focus more and progress more. So here we see Krishna is acknowledging the pure devotional service of the gopis. In Bhagavad Gita, we learned, Ye yathama prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyam. As we surrender unto him, he rewards us accordingly. So it is our choice to what extent we want to be Krishna conscious. We decide. We decide whether this is my last birth or I don't mind coming back. We decide our priorities. No one else can decide for us. We have to sit down, meditate upon our lives, and then set our priorities. We decide our association. We decide if we want to be sincere and serious on this spiritual path. Krishna is not going to interfere with our minute independence that we have, right? He has given us everything. He has given us knowledge. He has given us bona fide spiritual master. He has given us the acharyas. He's also given us knowledge about association of devotees. And above all, he's given us the most simple process in Kali Yuga. So we are very fortunate that we are in Kali Yuga. Had we been in Satya Yuga, what would we have to do to become self-realized? Meditate for 30,000 years. Here, sitting down in one place for 30 minutes is a big deal for us. It's like, when is this lecture going to get over? My legs are hurting, my knees are hurting, I'm this and that, See, we are restless people. So we are very fortunate that we are in Kali Yuga and we have the simple process given to us by Srila Prabhupada. What more would we want? It is like, a big feast is put right in front of us. I don't want to name the items because then we'll feel hungry and then we'll forget the lecture. So just imagine there's a big feast, but don't get carried away. But just imagine there's a big feast in front of us. All we have to do is eat it. But then there are some who say, oh, it's a lot of effort, to use my hand to take the prasadam and to put it in my mouth. Oh, it's such a big deal. No, that's very simple. So Krishna has given us the whole feast, everything in that association, prasadam, acharyas, temples, worship, everything. Above all, Mahamantra. All we have to do is just make that slight effort in this Kali Yuga so that we can become self-realized. Srila Prabhupada has given us everything. He even said there is no need to do any research. He has already done that for us. He even said there's no need to learn Sanskrit because he's already given, he's a Sanskrit scholar, he's already given us the translations, word for word meanings, translations, and purport. He has done all the hard work. In fact, Srila Prabhupada told his disciples, I've done all the hard work for y'all. So it's like, the whole feast, someone has cooked and kept in front of us. All we have to do is just relish it. So Krishna consciousness is given to us by Srila Prabhupada, as we can say, on a golden platter. Everything ready. Number 24. Mata more putra bhave kare na bandhana atihina jnani kare lalana palana. Translation. Mother sometimes binds me as her son. She nourishes and protects me, thinking me utterly helpless. Can Krishna ever be utterly helpless? So we see here's a reference given about the Damodar Lila that we've, heard about in Srimad Bhagavatam in Krishna book. So this Damodar Lila took place because Krishna wanted to enjoy this Lila. He also wanted Yashoda Maya to relish this pastime. And what did Yashoda think? Oh, if I don't feed my baby Krishna, he's going to starve. Is that true? No. Or if I don't take care of him, who will take care of him? Or if I don't bathe him, who will bathe him? She did not consider Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, who with a, just like that, within a moment, he can do, yes, he can do everything. But both Krishna and Yashoda Maya wanted to enjoy the pastimes together. Krishna wanted Yashoda Maya to relish these pastimes with him. That's why he did not allow her to see him as the supreme personality of Godhead. So you see, Yashoda Maya was thinking, oh, if I don't feed him butter, he's going to go and steal in someone else's house, which he would do anyway. But, this was the consciousness of Yashoda Maya. But in this material world, we think family runs because of me. I am the one who's running the whole family. Let me tell you, that is an illusion. That is a big illusion, that if I am not there, then the family will just fall apart. No. Say, for instance, after my death, you think my family will stop living? No, they will continue to live. Life will not stop or come to a halt. We are not that great. We're just ordinary human beings. But the consciousness we carry with us most of the time is that the whole family, in fact, something that even the office is running because of me, or something that countries, existing because of me. No, that is just an illusion. Verse number 25. Sakha Shuddha Sakya Kare Skandhe Arohana Tumi Kona Bada Loka Tumi Ami Sama. Translation. My friends climb on my shoulders in pure friendship, saying, what kind of big man are you? You and I are equal. So here we see that this is between the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna, and of course, they are pure devotees, we know that. And they have this relationship with Krishna, that friendship, where of course they don't know he is supreme personality of Godhead. So they wrestle with him, throw him, hit him with the ball, and play and do everything. But these cowherd boys, they are pure devotees, and they have earned their friendship with Krishna. And because of that, they get to play with him just like ordinary friends. Imagine if the cowherd boys and Krishna and Balram, they are in the forest, they've gone to play, and someone, taps on their shoulder and says, "Excuse me, these two are Supreme Personality of Godhead." Immediately, what will happen? They will stop playing with Krishna. They start bringing an arti tray and start doing arti of them because, oh, these are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, they do not consider Krishna as a Supreme Lord. So they play with him like ordinary friends. Excuse me. So, in other words, just like these cowherd boys have this golden opportunity to play with Krishna, to relish these pastimes, it is possible for any living entity, any human being to do that. Excuse me. But one has to work, one has to earn that friendship with Krishna to come to that level. And that is what here we are learning in this chapter, how we can come to that stage of pure devotional service. The last verse for today. Priya yadi manakari karaye bharaksana vedastuti haite hare sei moramana. Excuse me. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. If my beloved consort reproaches me in a sulky mood, that steals my mind from the reverent hymns of the Vedas. Purport. According to the Upanishads, all living entities are dependent on the supreme living entity, the personality of Godhead. As it is said in Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. One eternal living entity supports all the other eternal living entities. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead maintains all the other living entities, they remain subordinate to the Lord, even when joined with Him in the reciprocation of loving affairs. But in the course of exchanging transcendental love of the highest purity, sometimes the subordinate devotee tries to predominate over the predominator. One who lovingly engages with the Supreme Lord as if he were his mother or father sometimes supersedes the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, his fiancé or lover sometimes supersedes the position of the Lord. But such attempts are exhibitions of the highest love. Only out of pure love does the subordinate lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead chide him. The Lord, enjoying his chiding, takes it very nicely. The exhibition of natural love makes such activities very enjoyable. In worship of the Supreme Lord with veneration, there is no manifestation of such natural love because the devotee considers the Lord his superior. Regulative principles in devotional service are meant for those who have not invoked their natural love of Godhead. When natural love arises, all regulative methods are surpassed, and pure love is exhibited between the Lord and the devotee. Although on such a platform of love, the devotee sometimes appears to predominate over the Lord or transgress regulative principles, such dealings are far more advanced than ordinary dealings through regulative principles with awe and veneration. A devotee who is actually free from all designations due to complete attachment and love for the Supreme exhibits spontaneous love for Godhead, which is always superior to the devotion of regulative principles. The informal language used between lover and beloved is indicative of pure affection. When devotees worship their beloved as the most venerable object, spontaneous loving sentiments are observed to be lacking. A neophyte devotee who follows the Vedic instructions that regulate those who lack pure love of Godhead may superficially seem more exalted than a devotee in spontaneous love of Godhead. But in fact, such spontaneous pure love is far superior to regulated devotional service. Such pure love of Godhead is always glorious in all respects, more so than reverential devotional service rendered by a less affectionate devotee. How nicely Srila Prabhupada explains in his purports. He explains the position of Krishna. He says that even though Krishna is engaged in his pastimes, still his beloved remains subordinate to him. But Krishna doesn't mind being subordinate. We just learned a few verses ago. Whether he's engaged with gopis or he's engaged with Yashoda or his friends, they all love Krishna very purely. So they are on the Shuddha Bhakti platform, pure devotional service. So only when one is at that level of pure loving platform, only then one can joke with Krishna, play with him, rebuke him, get angry at him. All that is allowed only when one is on that pure devotional service platform. And Krishna doesn't mind it. In fact, he enjoys it. Why? Because it is natural, pure love. It is spontaneous love for him. So he enjoys it. And Prabhupada clearly mentions this is possible only in Krishna Loka, not in Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, it's only awe and reverence. This pure exchange, loving exchange is not there in Vaikuntha. So we see that in the first verse that we took today, number 21, Srila Prabhupada was also talking about regulative principles. So regulative principles are for those who have not yet reached this stage of pure love. When one reaches that stage of prema bhakti, then maybe regulative principles can be transcended. But otherwise, these regulative principles are necessary for neophyte devotees, especially those who are trying to be devotees. It's necessary because it will help them to advance spiritually. Now, sometimes, it may appear that a pure devotee is not following regulative principles, is, having symptoms of ecstasy or, shivering, crying, laughing for no reason, faltering, all these are symptoms, hair standing on end, all that, these are symptoms of pure love. But this is pure love for Krishna. This is between Krishna and these pure devotees. These pure devotees are completely in love with Krishna. And they think Krishna is their life and soul. So sometimes, we hear of ecstatic symptoms, when we are reading these scriptures, we hear that, these symptoms are found in pure devotees because of spontaneous love. It's a very, very high stage of loving devotional service. But as mentioned in the verse and purport, it's possible that there is some pretense also. Someone is pretending to roll on the ground. Someone is pretending to, laugh loudly or cry for no reason and all that, pretending. But no one can fool Krishna. I had heard a very nice story in India from one of the very advanced devotees. And he was relating this such a nice story. He said one time, there were a lot of gopis and they were missing Krishna. They wanted to have darshan of Krishna, and they were so anxious, and because of that anxiety they fainted because they couldn't bear not to see Krishna. So when they fainted, there was an elderly gopi who was watching from behind, and she noticed that Krishna came there, and in the ear of each gopi, he said something softly, and immediately that gopi regained consciousness. So like that, he did that to all the gopis who had fainted over there. So this gopi thought, I don't know whether this was a gopi or maybe just a lady. I don't remember, probably just an ordinary lady who was watching. So she pretended to be unconscious. And then she thought, oh, Krishna will come and he will say something sweet in my ears, and then I will pretend to regain consciousness. But then Krishna, no one can fool Krishna. So when it was her turn, Krishna loudly told the gopis, come on, bring a broom. I need to beat somebody. Immediately she got up, because that was pretending. So we cannot pretend. Krishna can catch us very easily. He knows, he is within our heart. He knows what we are thinking, feeling, willing, all the activities that we are performing. So Srila Prabhupada has explained very nicely. In fact, there was one disciple who went to Krishna and said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, I don't know what to do. I'm getting all these ecstatic symptoms, like I feel like crying, and, I feel like my body is shivering and hair is standing on end. What should I do? Srila Prabhupada said, continue chanting, these will go away. Because that was pretending, right? When you're on that pure stage of loving devotional service, you won't be thinking in those terms, right? Pure devotees, they try to hide so that, they, people don't get attracted to them. They are very humble. So it's very important that we, understand these small details, small, a little bit of knowledge from here and there. This Chaitanya Charitamrta is so beautifully describing to us how to come to that pure level of devotional service, how to develop spontaneous love for Krishna. So this is what we are learning. And of course, we will stop at this verse number 26, and we will continue next Saturday from verse number 27. If anyone